Hey, everybody. This is The Conversation. It's Outspoken and Opinionated. Of course, I am your host, as always, Edwin Maya. We are in July. Today is July 1st. We made it through June. For us who were on Facebook and scrolling down literally every day in June, there was some sort of sad news. But June has gone. We're in July. And this month at The Conversation, we are celebrating Liberian excellence. And so basically everything that we're doing this month, we are going to focus on Liberia this month because we're celebrating July 26th, my people. So this is July 26th celebration. For those who aren't, for my viewers and listeners who aren't Liberian, July 26th is Liberian independence. And so this month of July, everything we do on this show is going to be focused on Liberia. I know someone will say, basically, technically, you focus on Liberia all the time. But this one, we're really focusing on Liberia, looking at the different excellent things are going on in Liberia. We are going to have an amazing time every Thursday with some amazing Liberians. When I tell you Liberians are dope, this is serious. So if you haven't noticed my shirt, I am Liberian approved. This was made by True Vision. If you didn't know, JT Maya, my brother, he runs an organization called True Vision. Of course, I always rock True Vision because it's Liberian excellence. So hey, welcome to the conversation again. Today I have an amazing gentleman. If you haven't been following us on Instagram, I ain't gonna tell you who it is. I'm just gonna bring him in. He's gonna tell you guys what you guys are doing. But again, if you are watching from Liberia, we're asking mask up, 6 feet, and hand sanitize. Coronavirus is serious. No joke, guys. But without further ado, I'm going to bring in. Hey, welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
We appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule. Like I said earlier, you are the big CEO. People are saying question in it. There is one question I'm going to ask you, but I'm going to ask you later. But how are you doing, sir? What's going on with you? How's everything going on?
I'm doing well. We're all trying to stay safe. Thank you again for keep pushing the message about coronavirus and how serious it is, and some of the steps we can take to keep ourselves safe. So, there's just a lot going on in Liberia right now with the surge in the COVID cases, and, everybody trying to figure out, how can we keep ourselves safe? How can we keep our, team members safe? How can we keep our loved ones safe? We're trying to figure it out and doing our best.
I forgot, but can you introduce yourself to the people? Because I forgot that part. Who are you, what you do, and all that good stuff?
Well, my name is Mahmud Johnson, and I founded J-Palm, started a business right out of college, and I've been doing this now for about 8 years. We actually just turned 8 years old last week. So we've been doing this now for quite a while. That's basically that's me. That's what I do.
Well, people are just gonna say this, but I think you have every successful businessman is extremely humble. So I can already see how humble you are, and I'm just going to tell the people this is Mahmud Johnson. He is the CEO, owner, visionary, and everything behind J-Palm. If you have not tried J-Palm product, I will tell you I am the #1 fan for J-Palm. Everybody that in my family goes to Liberia know exactly what to bring for me. Don't bring me anything but J-Palm products. So I'm gonna tell you guys, this is the Liberian extraordinaire. This is the entrepreneur Mahmud Johnson, CEO of J-Palm. So I'm gonna ask you the first question somebody asked me. Where everybody own their own business and they're just doing well. People want to know. Somebody asked and said, "So how rich are you?"
Well, I guess I would at this stage, right? I would count my wealth, I guess, by sort of the impact that we're able to create, whether it's creating jobs, whether it's helping farmers with the incomes. I'm the kind of person who, right now, honestly, the balance doesn't really move me. I don't really make decisions based on calculations of what I think I personally would gain from it. It really is based on how do we try to make a difference in society? How do we try to improve livelihoods for other Liberians? And so, maybe the money will come in the future, but for now, it's really about trying to build something that we all can be proud of and trying to make a difference.
That's amazing. So I want to ask you, why J-Palm? What's the inspiration behind that name?
I was trying to start a palm oil business. My name is Johnson. It's like, let's just get this over with. It's J-Palm.
J-Palm, Johnson Palm.
Yeah, basically.
That's it. Simple and to the point. And I want to ask you, so, tell us about the process, because I know you didn't just, maybe you just did, get up one morning and start this whole thing. Process. How long did it take you to come up with all of this that you have right now? Like, what was the process?
Right. Well, so here's the thing that most people don't know. J-Palm actually started with just a regular palm oil business. We had no plans whatsoever to be doing what it is that we're doing now. A lot of people know about J-Palm through the current first products, and I love that. But originally, current first was not part of the plan. The idea for J-Palm was simple. We have a lot of palm trees in Liberia. We have a lot of smallholder farmers who make palm oil, and we wanted to support them to make more money. Farmers in your areas. So I took a step back. So I was going to college in the U.S. and I came the winter break before my graduation. I came to Liberia, and my aunt, I was having just like a regular conversation with the aunt, and she said to me, she was telling me how she ran out of business because she used to sell palm oil, and she said to me that she ran out of business because she couldn't find a consistent supplier. Usually she would get in Texas and go to some of the rural areas to buy palm oil, but sometimes they don't have enough palm oil, or they don't have any palm oil at all, and naturally spend all this money on transportation. So that was how she eventually ran out of business, and it really didn't make any sense to me because anybody who is familiar with Liberia, who has traveled through the countryside, you see palm trees all over. Even in Monrovia, palm trees just grow naturally in the wild, right? And so it's like, but why is it that we have all these palm trees, but palm oil sellers cannot find oil? And so that was how I started to do research about palm oil. And apparently, what was happening is that there just was a lot of waste in the oil palm sector. The palm oil that we eat, the one we call country palm, it's like this not growing on plantation. It's natural, it's wild, it's organic palm oil. But it's usually made in very rural villages, small villages by smallholder farmers who were using their bare hands to squeeze out the palm oil, out of the palm fruit, because they didn't have access to machines, right? And on top of that, all of the palm kernels are going to waste. So that's one aspect of why, even though we had all these palm trees, but it didn't necessarily translate into palm oil. So USAID did some studies back then, and it showed that up to about 35% of the palm nuts literally remain on the trees without being harvested. And then for the ones that they harvest, they end up losing about half of the expected oil yield because, again, the hands just aren't as efficient in extracting the palm oil. So my thinking with this was like, how do we better serve someone like my aunt who's selling palm oil in Monrovia, right? Like, it doesn't really make sense for her to be getting in car and going in the bush to buy palm oil from one or two persons. So that can we figure out a way where we can organize the palm oil producers, help them make the palm oil more efficiently, increase their production, and then buy from them, aggregate all that palm oil and transport the oils to Monrovia so that we can sell at a better price point to people in Monrovia. So they don't have to leave their market, leave their families, and go spend 2-3 days in the bush every week looking for palm oil. So that was the original idea for J-Palm, really, was like working with smallholder farmers, help them make better quality oils, make more money, and then help the retailers and the traders in Monrovia make more profits because you can eliminate that transportation cost that they face from traveling to the rural areas. And we are in a better position to do that because we have our own equipment, we have our own trucks and all that stuff, so it costs less to transport. So that was the original idea for J-Palm.
Wow.
Eventually, it sort of transitioned into palm kernel oil because, like, one day I went to the production area and I just saw this huge plume of smoke, and I was like, "But what's going on?" And they said, "Oh, they're burning the palm kernels." I was like, "But why are we burning the palm kernels?" But I mean, that's what we do. Like, there's no use for it. And so naturally, it was like, okay, let's try to figure out what can we do with the palm kernels. So we talked to a bunch of people. At the time, this was in 2014. At the time, a lot of soap makers were using palm kernel oil for soap production, but they were going as far as Guinea and Sierra Leone to purchase palm kernel oil. You know, we had all of these palm kernels going to Liberia. So it was like, okay, let's get machines. So able to get some machines to make palm kernel oil, and started supplying the palm kernel oil to soap makers. And then I was like, there was this one time I had a really bad I always have acne when I was growing up because I have very oily skin. And I said, let me just try this oil and see, how it works. And the palm kernel oil cleared my acne within like 2 days. I was like, but there is something here. So I was like, you know what? Maybe we can start a small little side business with this palm kernel oil. So it was really an accidental brand. We didn't plan for it at all. There was no research. There was no anything. It was just like, we have our main business, which is to make palm oil and palm kernel oil. We can start something small on the side, just like putting palm kernel oil in bottles. So we actually started with like 1,000 bottles and put it in supermarkets. And within less than 6 months, it really blew up because everybody started, initially people were curious about the color of the oil because mostly people are used to the dark palm kernel oil, right? So now it's like, but what is this palm kernel oil that looks like algae oil? Like, people are interested in just like how it looks. But then people now started talking about how it worked for them. So some people say, oh, this cleared my acne. Some people say, oh, this cleared my dark spot. Some people say, oh, this is really like improving my glow, it's growing my hair. It's just like all these stories, which we couldn't talk about at the time because we didn't know, because we hadn't planned for it this way. So it's just like, rebroadcasting these stories. Like, when people share their stories, we share it on our pages. And that's how, the brand really started to grow. Up to the point now where it really has morphed into a national brand where we've moved beyond just palm kernel oil in bottles, where we have a full range of skin care, facial care, hair care products, all based on palm kernel oil. But again, all within the service to the farmers, because as we grow the business this way, that's how we can be able to earn the revenues we need to expand into more communities, to work with more farmers.
This is great. I tell you, my man, this is amazing. But, I just want to touch, you talk about some things, but I just want to touch on it. So when you started, did you already have an idea of what things was going to come to, or were you just looking at creating oil?
Initially, it was all about palm oil. Initially, it was all about palm oil. Even the thing with business is that it sort of grows over time, right? Like, you have sort of a nugget of an idea, and then over time, it's that idea, that nugget starts to expand. It's almost like a baby. Like, a baby is small and it starts to grow in that way. So, like, when you look at the original business plan for J-Palm, it's just all about palm oil. And we're thinking about it mostly from a food perspective, to say, oh, maybe at some point in the future we can make algae oil, maybe we can make margarine or whatever. But we didn't really consider this sort of beauty product business, because think about it, like, there wasn't really any precedent in Liberia with people doing beauty businesses in 2013, 2014. Right, everything was imported at the time. So.
And so you're getting into the market, and we know the Liberian market is fluctuated with foreign products. Everybody are based on certain kind of name, and they want to use that name. What are some of the challenges that you face, if that was a challenge, when you started, really venturing into the beauty market?
The biggest challenge was the perception that made in Liberia products are of an inferior quality. From a lot of Liberians themselves. It's like, they think that Liberian made, like you should sell it for $1 million because it's the connotation is that this is like a low quality product. And that also was a view that was shared by the retailers. So now you can walk into a retail store and see a whole shelf of Liberian products. But when we started, there were no Liberian products in the supermarket. The only Liberian products in the supermarket were the pepper sauce that people put in mayonnaise jar, and put in the supermarket. That's the only main Liberian products they had. So for us to walk in there and say, look, we are making this oil for skin care and hair care, and we want to stock it here, it was so difficult. Each time you go, they say, oh, maybe we'll come back next week. So we actually have to implement some pretty smart strategies to actually get retail distribution. For example, I remember we took out ads in the radio, on the radio, to say, oh, Canon Fresh is available at social and social market, when in fact they were giving us a runaround. But now all of a sudden they started seeing all of these people come in and to ask about it. So now they started calling us to say, oh, can you bring this here? So it's things like that, just like different strategies for getting the products into the stores. In the beginning, it was all about us creating buzz on social media about the benefits of this product, and then directing them to the retail stores. So yeah, the biggest challenge in the beginning was really getting people to accept that made in Liberia products can actually be of high quality. And that's something that I've always been uncompromising about, with my team. It's about like yes, we are here in Liberia, right? But the mindset is we have to have a global mindset. We have to be able to create products that people anywhere in the world can use and enjoy. It's not like, oh, because we're made in Liberia, so we have to now have a subpar quality, because I want to be able to use these products. That's the only thing that I use, and I have high standards for myself, right? So it's like, okay, it has to be product that I can use. It has to be product I can get my mom to use. It has to be product I can get my girl to use. Anybody, should be able to use it anywhere, regardless of what your status is. And that's something that I think that's one of the reasons why we've been able to grow the way we've grown so far, is because we're really focused on keeping the quality consistent and continuing to improve on that quality.
So I would say, I think the quality of your products are amazing. Of course, everybody as a business owner, you want to move to higher heights. So I know you have plans to move. But as a consumer, I would tell you it's great. I use every product except the beer oil, and I'm fussing with my brother because I need one, and so he's gonna get it. Try to get it. Yes, but he's trying to get it. But I tell you, there are people who do want to know. When you started your business, were there any capital constraints, especially in a developing country? How did you manage that?
The thing about Liberia is that we really do not, even up until now, we really do not have a sort of fluid mechanism to fund ideas. Most of the financing is very risk averse. So the way I think about it is like you don't get money from the banks until you don't need it. That's when they try to give you money. Because if you think about it, like if you are a young person trying to start a business, you go to a bank. If you look at the requirements, you need to have non-movable assets. You need to have a farm, or you need to have a house. Things like that, to use as collateral to get a loan. And just statistically, as a young people are not likely to have acquired those kinds of assets to go and get loans. You can say, well, loan is not the only source of funding a business. You have venture capital, you have venture investors, and all that. We don't have that ecosystem in Liberia yet. And so for me, I knew very early on that the only way we could fund this business was by tapping into grants. There are lots of business plan competitions globally. There are lots of grants, and most of these international competitions and grant opportunities try to balance the strength of the business with social impact. It's not enough to say, oh, I have a business I'm making, however, $1,000, $1 million, whatever it is. You also have to be able to demonstrate what impact you are creating, because if somebody is giving you money that you don't have to pay back, then it can't just be for you. It has to be something that it has to be a structure where you are paying it forward. And so in the very beginning, we set up our business in such a way that we're not just tracking the financials for the business, we're also tracking the impact. How many farmers are we working with, right? In the beginning, did a survey to find out how much money were they making. And then 6 months later, you go back again and look at the data and say, how much money are they making now? So we can be able to tell this story about this commercial venture that is creating this social impact. And I personally had to fund the business to the point where we could demonstrate that proof of concept, demonstrate that, look, by creating a market for palm kernels, we can help maybe increase farmers' income by maybe an additional 20 to 30%, because they were throwing the palm kernels away. Now they're selling the palm kernels, they're earning money from it. But like, I had to be able to fund that myself, to generate those results, and then say, look, I have my own little money, I put it inside. Here's what the results I've been able to achieve. Now, if you give me money, here's what we can do, right? So I had some savings. I think we started with less than $10,000. I mean, this is a very capital intensive business. You have to go and pick up. You got to buy the machines. You have to hire staff and all that stuff. So within the first less than the first 2 months, all the money was gone. I had to rely on some of my friends from college to put some money in. I also got a job working part-time at a consulting company and was using my own money to sort of bankroll the business. Because I really sort of saw, I had a very strong vision for what I thought the business could be. I really believed in it, and so I put everything, all my savings. It even got to a point where I was literally using my car as taxi just to survive, because we didn't have any money. But again, it's all about having that clear vision. I remember when I was in college and I had the idea for the business. It just came like a flash, right? Like it was so many ideas running through my head. I literally had to get up and write. I still had that envelope, by the way. I had to get up and write down what I wanted to do so that I could at least fall asleep, right? So I just had a very strong vision for what the business could be, and I knew that I had to put my all into it to demonstrate that I was serious about this before I could go and convince someone else to kind of put money in. So in the beginning, it was just about me self-financing it, and then eventually we started applying for grants internationally. And the story was pretty compelling to the point where we were able to raise some capital through grants to invest in expanding the business.
Wow, your story is really, really, really amazing, because so I'm looking at you and I'm thinking, okay, a young man go to college in the States, graduate, and move back to Liberia. So you move back to Liberia and you want to start your business.
Yep.
And I'm looking at young men of your age group. They're looking for a desk office. They want to be a big boss. You want to sit in the back seat and get the driver and go to the next spot and pop in bottles and stuff like that. Were there times where you were a little bit discouraged about this process, looking at maybe, I don't know, if you have peers who technically had moved up and you were still, trying to get stuff going on?
Right. Well, I mean, entrepreneurship is not for everybody, so there are some people who are more comfortable working elsewhere. For me, so the comparison was, when I finished college, there was a decision of, should I remain in the US and get a job, or should I return home? And a lot of my friends, fellow African students who are in college with me, are still in the US working, for banks, working for the consulting firms, and things like that. And I did try to get a job in the US, but it just didn't work. I was like, this is not interesting to me at all. Like, I just could not really get myself to be diligent in the job application process. Like, my friends were doing case interviews, looking at the finance books and all those things. I did buy those books, but I just would not read them. It just wasn't interesting to me. And I think that's one thing, right? Like, we always have to cultivate the ability to observe ourselves and to listen to ourselves, because I could have sort of powered through and forced myself to get myself working in the bank, but I don't think I would have been productive. I don't think I would have been happy. I think it would have been a slow death for me. For other people, that's their passion, that's what they want to do, and that's fine. So I've never really regretted anything about this business. There have been so many times when I've been very frustrated. I've been frustrated, but I've been frustrated because I know, like, it shouldn't be this hard. You know what I'm saying? Like, we operate in an environment in Liberia where there are lots of things that just don't work. And so a lot of the frustration is from that, and I understand that it's not anything that's fundamentally wrong with this business. It's just the fact that we're operating in a very difficult environment. So the way I always think about it is, you always have to start with the vision. That's the reason why it's always important to have a clear idea, a very clear idea of what success looks like to you, like what success looks like to you in your head. You can almost smell it and taste it, right? Because when we encounter these challenges, it's that vision that will pull you forward. It's really a matter of perspective to say, like things are really like effed up right now. Like it's really difficult. I know that if I can get over this, I'm closer to the destination, or I'm closer to this goal that I want to achieve. So, it's there been many times when I've been very discouraged, but I always look up to that vision that we have and the potential for what the business could be, and that is what has kept me going and kept us going this far.
Man, you're just inspiring. So So I want to ask you a question on, like you talked about, people talked about it all the time. Things don't work. Like, it's a third world country. Wrong choice of words. It's a developing country.
It is. Yeah.
It is a developing country. Wrong choice of words, people. It's a developing country, and things don't work. And now a lot of people who are running businesses in Liberia are really worried about the economy. And so I want to ask you about the current economy right now, and you being an amazing entrepreneur. I mean, you are in finance, so of course, money, I know it's like your budgeting is not even like a joke. So I want to find out, what's your stance right now with the whole economic situation that's going on right now in Liberia compared with your company?
Right. We operate in a very difficult economic environment. Things were already challenging before COVID with the economy, and they have been challenging for a very long time. Liberian economy, the way it is, was developed for a time that is long gone. If you look at the structure of the Liberian economy, it really is a sort of colonial / concession economy, where the infrastructure is geared towards extracting natural, raw, unprocessed natural resources and transporting them to the port and shipping them out raw. And if you look at the tax structure, if you look at just how everything is structured, is built for that kind of large, multinational foreign direct investment. We don't really have a structure that supports small businesses, medium businesses. Other countries have strategies to say, we want to be like, for example, Rwanda is talking about building this new digital economy, right? And so the policies, of course, would make it so that people have access to information technology, you have education, you have tech hubs and things like that. We don't really have any kind of structure that supports any sort of entrepreneurship apart from, large corporations coming in to make big plantations or mining. And the reason why that is problematic is because we have a growing population, and those sectors don't really create as many jobs as we need, to really have a transformative impact on the economy. So you have a lot of people who just don't have jobs. If you don't have jobs, you don't have a sustainable way of making money, then you cannot spend. And if you cannot spend, then the economy is depressed. So we have that structural problem. We also have a serious problem with education that's been going on since the war, right? Where you have, after the war, we had a lot of teachers teaching in schools, students are not really learning, and so people, number one, most people don't really have skills to get the few jobs that are available, and also aren't equipped with the skills, sort of critical thinking skills to start their own businesses. So it's a capacity problem that is now translating to an economic problem, because most people just have the capacity to earn decent income, and so they just don't have enough money to spend, right? And then now you layer that with COVID, that has also now depressed the entire global economy, and the Liberian economy is just not robust enough where we have the resources to do any kind of stimulus, to keep the economy afloat. So it's just really difficult. It's a really difficult time, and for businesses, we always have to operate in a space where we understand the realities and we make plans for what are we going to do next. So for us, we have I can't share our business strategy on
course.
this. But, we are working on several different new ventures within the business to continue to grow the business and to serve the population where they are. So we have fresh products. We have a customer base that is very loyal. But how do we go beyond that? How do we create products that work for very low income people? How do we create products and services that work for people in rural areas? All of these people deserve to be served, right? And deserve quality products and deserve quality services. So how do we do it in such a way where we can be able to profitably serve as many people as possible and meet them where they are, as opposed to saying, people need to, we need to have a big middle class in order to survive. Yeah.
I like that, and I want to move now into a different segment where we can really talk about now COVID is going on. The rates in Liberia is really is going up.
Yep.
And you as a business owner, is there anything that the government is putting in place that is going to help business owners, at least whether it's grants or loans or something? Because if you have salaries to pay, you have all these things. So if the government is talking about shutting down and all that kind of stuff, technically you have to sell products in order for you to get money to pay your workers. So is there anything that they're talking about or you looking into as a business owner and with other businesses?
I've not heard any programs or initiatives from the government to support businesses at this time. And I mean, you're absolutely right. We have salaries to pay. And there's always a question of, what is the end goal of the government, right? The end goal should be to create an environment where ordinary citizens can thrive and they can not just struggle and survive, but they can thrive. So for example, in the U.S., of course, you can't really compare, right? But like in the U.S., this, you have payroll protection. So that for businesses who maybe may see a dip in revenues, they can get some support from the government to continue to pay the employees. Because again, at the end of the day, it really is about the livelihoods of the people.
Exactly.
And the families. But we haven't really. I mean, Liberia does. The government here don't really have the resources to be able to do this. I think. So yeah, we haven't seen any programs or any signals that we have XYZ in the works for Liberian businesses, and it's unfortunate, but it's the environment that we live in. So we have to do for ourselves what we can do instead of waiting for the government. Maybe one day we'll get to the point where the government is more responsive, but now it just haven't seen any communications or anything in that regard about initiatives to support businesses during the pandemic.
So you as a business owner, I know it's I will imagine it's scary. I will imagine that you have it's not like you're not affecting one person, you're affecting an entire family, or you're affecting the 4, 5, 6, 7 families by one person receiving a salary. Yep. So you as a business owner, it is scary, I can imagine. Is there what are you starting? You don't need to give us details, but is this something that you and your people, your leadership is thinking about and cracking their brains on how to, work around with your employees just in case this thing kicks off?
Right. So one of the big things that we have been trying to do is on how do we improve our profitability as a business without increasing our prices, because it's a pandemic, it's a depressed economy. We cannot go and increase prices on our customers. The way to do that, of course, would be to reduce our costs. It doesn't mean it's kind of complicated because we absolutely cannot compromise the quality of our products as a basis to improve profits. So we have to be able to structure our supply chain in such a way that we can be able to extract more savings, that allow us to take better care of our employees. So I'll give you an example, right? We started it as a very small business. I mean, a very small venture. As I said, we started with 1,000 bottles. I personally went to Ghana, bought 1,000 bottles, and got on the flight and checked the 1,000 bottles in and brought it. And that's how we started, right? But then eventually after that, they started to grow. You order 5,000 bottles, 10,000 bottles, 20,000 bottles, and things like that. But it's not. It's not of the quantity that you can put it in a container and send it by ship. So now we have to now check that into Kenya Airways or whatever you buy from Ghana, put it on Kenya Airways and bring it to Liberia, and pay taxes and then clear it, right? That's fine, but it's also very expensive to send things by air. Because if you have, there's a glass, right? But let's say if you transport a glass and you send it by air, no pun intended, but there's a lot of air that you are transporting. Like you have all this stuff in here that just taking up space, and the airline is charging us by how much space the stuff is taking up, right? So a better way to do that, of course, would be to send this stuff by sea, because if you send it by sea, is much sea freight is much cheaper than air freight. But in order to do that, you have to have a structure where we're able to plan way in advance, because I can say I will order a container and then have it here tomorrow, which means that I need to have a structure in place so that 90 days from now, if I know that I'm going to need bottles in 90 days, I need to order it now so that in 90 days I can have it here. Which means that I have to have an inventory management system that's constantly looking at all of the ingredients to see that, this one here, based on the trends, right? Based on the production trends, I know that this one's going to be finished in 90 days. So I need to order it now so that I can get it here in 90 days. What that allows us to do is that it just frees up cash. Because if we are sending things by sea, again, we literally are saving 50%. 50% of our cost is the shipping cost, So if we can be able to reduce that, then without compromising product quality or without increasing our prices, we can increase our profits significantly, which allows us to be able to do things like maybe increase salaries for our employees. Also allows us to expand the business. So that's one of the big things that we've been working on this year. It's just to be more strategic and more careful about supply chain and the planning, things way in advance, so that we can manage our costs more efficiently.
That's amazing. And so I want to go into you as a person. We're going to get away from, the company, even though it's your company. Okay, but there is one thing I have admired about you, and I'm going to say this to you. You have been able to stay out of the Liberian limelights. And maybe a lot of people haven't noticed it, but you have been able to stay out. So I want to know your secret. How have you been able to stay away from all the craziness that going on in our country?
I'm very busy with
I guess a lot of people are not busy, right?
No. It just consumes me. It just consumes me, man. No, but it's I'm in a lot of ways I'm an introvert. Okay. And so naturally it's just very taxing to just be out all the time. Like I remember being in college, and we'd go to parties, and I would literally I would have to maybe 2 or 3 times just go and just sit in the bathroom and just I just have to get away from people, because if I'm around people too much, it just takes away so much energy, right? I would much rather just if I go to a bar or something, I would much rather my ideal position would be to sit in the corner and just observe everybody else. Because I sort of draw inspiration. It's a very interesting way of. For me, it's part of the creative process, of being an entrepreneur and being also a creator, right? That's that you have to observe patterns, observe how people behave, and use those statistics to say what like just to draw insights. So it's just my nature to sort of be on the sidelines and observe rather than being in the center of things. And also, I just don't like people being in my business. Very private person. I like for people to earn the right to know what's going on in my life. Because it's like if everybody knows everything about me, then what's the point of having close friends, right? Like my friends have no advantage because you don't have to be a close friend. You can just like go on social media and find everything about me. So yeah, I just try to just guard my private life because again, it's just my nature. I'm just an introverted person, and I don't like being the center of attention.
And that's great. And I like your analogy around it because I remember when I was going to start this whole podcast and everything, one of my mentors said, "You don't like your business out there. How are you going to be able to do this?" I was like, "Oh, I can do it."
Yeah.
And I just keep my business out. I might touch on some places, but there's certain things I'm not going to divulge, or certain areas I'm not going to go because it's my business. And I think when you're able to separate, I think for me, and that's what when I talked to my team and I said I was going to get you, there was one thing we try to do, because we're trying to be nosy. So like researching you and finding out what's going on. We can't find nothing. And I'm really like, we can't find anything, man.
Yeah.
He's top secret. He got an FBI. He got an FBI on his call list. But I think for me, that's one of the things of great businessmen and great businesswomen is you guys know how to protect your personal life. Because I think, from my opinion, when your personal life starts to get in the mix and overshadows your calling or overshadows the thing that you want to do, then we'll forget about J-Palm and Colonel Fresh, and I will fascinated about you.
Exactly.
And that's not what wants to go on. But it's been 8 years. We didn't congratulate you first. We'll congratulate you now. It's been 8 years.
Thank you.
You guys have been amazing. Tell us about this new thing. So I saw this video. As you already know, I stalk you. So I saw this video about, I can't remember the name of a hotel, but I see you guys are moving into space. So tell us about this space. What are we going to be having in that space?
Right. We're setting up the first flagship experience store for Corner Fresh. And the idea really is to do that, is to have a full Corner Fresh experience. Corner Fresh is a brand that's inspired by nature, is inspired by African, heritage, it's inspired by the earth. And so we wanted to bring that into a physical retail format where people can actually walk in and have all 5 senses engaged, and interact with products in ways that they just normally don't get to. Because right now, the way people buy products, 2 main ways: is either in traditional retail, so you go to a supermarket, or buy it online. And when you go to a supermarket, we have a very extensive range of products, and most of the time, the supermarkets only take the top selling products. They get the oils, you have the soaps, you have the lotions, maybe shampoo, conditioner, but you don't really get to experience the full range of the current fresh products. And then the other big way people order is through social media. But the way social media is, just by design, is you're only looking at one thing at a time. So if you see an ad for soap, or an ad for body wash, or ad for shampoo, that's what you're looking at. You don't get to see all the other products that we have. And most times these products are complementary. It's better to use them together. So we wanted to have a retail format and come in, see all the various products, try them if you want to try them, smell them, even customize them. We're going to have the opportunity, for example, for people to choose what fragrances go in their oils, what fragrances go in their lotions. We're going to have the opportunity for people to make their own soaps and put the ingredients on it in there. So we just wanted to have, a really sort of luxury experience. Of course, or we call it affordable luxury, so you don't have to break the bank to have this luxury experience, right? But it's a way, for us to engage with our customers, for them to get to know us better, for us also get to know them better, for them to learn more about our brand, and also for us to learn more about them. And we decided that, go big or go home. We really decided to invest a lot in setting up a store that when somebody walks in, so the way the designer explains it is, um, we want to have a store where when you're outside and you see the store, you want to go in, and when you go in, you don't want to come out, because it's just a very nice grounding space. The colors are all calming colors, the decor, the scents, the sounds, the music in the store, like what you see, all of those, we put a lot of effort thinking about it, because just to take a step back, one of the founding principles for J-Palm is really around dignity.
Okay.
Dignity and respect for the customer. The way in which most retail works in Liberia is a very sort of top-down model. That whatever is imported, that's what you get to buy. You don't have any choice, and most of the products that were being imported into Liberia were not products that were designed for Black people. It's like these products were designed in other parts of the world, maybe for Americans, for Asians, people who have different skin texture, different complexions. And those products get brought here. You put a dark skin model on the billboard, and that's what gets to sell, right? We are taking a different approach to say, let's put the Liberian consumer at the center of our design process. What do you want as a Liberian person? What works for you? What doesn't work for you? We want to listen to that and figure out how do we bring that sort of world-class process of designing that product that works for the Liberian consumer. And so the store is just an extension of that. Right? We want to honor our customers to say, let's spend some money, to set up a store that when you come in, it really makes you feel good, to know that we are thinking about you and we're designing a space specifically to honor you and to say that we appreciate you. So that's sort of what we're trying to accomplish here.
That is amazing. I can see the passion. I can see the joy in your face. I can experience it with you as you're saying it right now. So I can see it. I can see how excited you are about it. But why that location? Why in that hotel? Did you ever think about anywhere else, but it was just that particular? Why that particular hotel?
It's centrally located.
Okay.
We have, it's in Sincor. We have lots of people live in Sincor. Lots of people work in Sincor. Is right on the main street, so it's easily accessible. They have great parking space, so parking is not a problem. It's also a lot of people moving through there. The store is also right next to the Brussels Airlines office.
Okay.
Yeah, so we also are thinking about not just we're not just thinking about just the people who are based here, but we're also thinking about customers who may be traveling. Unfortunately, the people at the airport just harassed people too much. It's like, why are you taking oil? You're going to find small thing to give before they can allow you to take oils, which is just ridiculous. So if you have a store that's next to the Brussels Airlines office where people are going to check in, they can just check the stuff. They can just buy if they want to buy a few bottles and check it into the bag and check it in, no hassles. So it's a lot of ways it's an ideal location. It also is a really nice space. The way it's designed. It comes with electricity, 24-hour electricity. It comes with air conditioning and all of that. We really want to have a place that's cozy, that when you walk in, you leave all your worries behind. And it's sort of like a wonderland kind of theme.
Oh man, you're gonna have these girls and these men not gonna leave that, so they're gonna sit there all day. You're gonna be providing food and drinks.
Yeah, bring your sleeping bags and a mattress or whatever.
Good. But so do you guys have a lunch date? Do you have a date that is going to open? Is it on the calendar yet? Or I'm asking too many questions?
No, you're not asking too many questions. We have date in mind. We want to launch it around. And I mean, it's actually very apt that we're having this conversation here because you are having this series around 26. We want to launch it around the 26 celebrations. I know there's a lot that's going to be going on, provided, of course, that we don't have a lockdown. So we want to launch it around the July 26th celebration. Just come in and just like celebrate our Liberian heritage, Liberian culture.
But I can tell you, once the store open, I'm gonna advertise it because me and a whole group of people are coming in December.
There
If
you
you
go.
heard about Runway Liberia, I am on the Runway Liberia team, and we are coming.
There you
And
go.
so we are going to be in
Okay.
Runway Liberia. We have Janda Morris Kennedy. She's the head of Yep. So we are coming. We are coming in December. The streets are calling our name. We are coming.
That's another thing, right? It's like there's want to be a place where if you are visiting, you come and hang out. For those who are here, they can bring their friends who are visiting. We just want to be like a cool space where people can come and learn more about our company, learn more about our products. Have the power to design their own products the way they like, and just have a good time. Yeah.
That is amazing. And with somebody sending questions, so I have people sending questions. One person asked and said, have you ever thought about the opportunity of partnering with individuals, for example, who want to say, let's say somebody wants to make their own perfume, but they already know Kernel Fresh is a brand that people know. They want to partner with you to make their own perfume or make their own soap. Is that something that you guys have thought about?
I'm always open we're always open to ideas for collaboration, for partnership. So yeah, I'm on social media, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram. People always reach out to me, So if you have an idea of how to partner, let's do it. Because we do need more partnerships. We don't really have a large business community in Liberia, so I think definitely there's a need for the few of us to work together to support each other in whatever way we can. So yeah, definitely.
Great. But you won't believe this. It's almost time. The people, somebody text, they're letting me know that it's time we almost got to go. But I want to ask you, what's next for J-Palm Kernel Fresh? I know you have the flagship store, but what's next in the next 5-6 years?
Right. We have some pretty big plans. The biggest one we're working on right now is telling this story to the world about natural palm kernel oil from Liberia. So think about this, right? If you think about shea butter, what country do you think about?
I didn't get you.
If you think about shea butter, what country do you think about?
Ghana.
You think about Ghana, right? You think about you think about argan oil. You think about Morocco. There is an opportunity for us to position Liberia as a source for the most natural palm kernel oil, because palm oil. Most of the palm oil that's consumed in the world right now is grown on plantations, and if you go to Europe or if you go to the US, for the average person, when you mention palm oil, the first thing that comes to somebody's mind is that, but it's not bad for the environment. Isn't that bad for the animals? And that's because most of these large plantations, in order to have land to plant, they clear out the forest, clear out the rainforest to plant palm. We in Liberia are naturally blessed with palm, where if you go in the bush, nobody can tell you, I don't plant this palm, right? Of course, there are people who make their own plantations, but for the wild palm, nobody planted it. It's always been there. These palm trees grow according to a natural pattern. The birds come to eat the palm nut. They drop the seed elsewhere, new trees grow. It's very natural and very organic. It's the most organic there is, right? So we're working, in partnership with, there's a company in the US called Pacha Soap. I think most people know them. They're in all the Whole Foods in the US, to develop a supply chain around wild palm kernel oil. And the idea is to turn all of these communities organic, to get organic certification for these communities, so that when we make palm kernel oil from there, it can also be labeled organic palm kernel oil that can now, of course, we're using our products and market locally, but we can also start to export to other parts of the world. And we're also integrating technology such as blockchain technology into our supply chain, so that if we go to a village in Bond County, for example, and we buy 500 kilograms of palm kernels from a lady there. Each time any transaction happens, there's the person's picture, there's the person's name, how much they would pay for it, and all of that stuff. So that eventually, maybe 2-3 years from now, if you go to Whole Foods or you go to Walmart and you buy, I don't know, lotions or soaps or whatever, you can be able to scan a QR code on that packaging that now takes you to a website where you can have access to the full story for the palm kernel oil that's used in that product. This palm kernel oil was made on so and so day in Liberia. Here, the farmers who contributed to that. You see videos about the impact and all of that. So it's a new way of integrating supply chain with marketing and communicating impact, for customers, so that customers have more transparency into the supply chains and the impact that businesses are making through the supply chain. So, I mean, there's a lot of moving pieces we're working on right now. It's a sort of complex project, but we're very excited about it because if we can make it work, or when we make it work, it's better going to be a game changer in just rebranding Liberia as the source for this natural, wild, organic palm kernel oil, and also in unlocking opportunities for all these smallholder farmers to make more money.
That's amazing, Mr. Johnson. I want to take off all my hats to you. You are the example of hard work. And so there are people who are watching. There are a lot of people who say, you're encouraging them. They will go back home and start their own businesses. They're talking about partnering with you. There are a lot of people here talking. But for these people who are watching and who do want to go back Liberia and start businesses, can you just give them some words of encouragement, or just what is it that you can tell them to encourage them to not listen to the naysayers?
Right. I mean, the first thing I'll say is, let's be real. You have to come with the understanding that it is a difficult environment to operate in. But what helps is having a very clear and very detailed vision of what you want to do, and also having a clear why. Why do you want to do this? Why do you want to accomplish X, Y, Z? Because having that clear vision and having that clear why, is what will allow you to be able to persevere and to be able to push through, until you can get to the point where the business or whatever venture it is you're doing becomes successful. I would also say, reach out. Like, a lot of mistakes that many business that like this business I'm doing, unfortunately, there weren't many people I could call upon, when I was starting, because there weren't many people who were doing the same thing that I was starting. But I would tell you for a fact that we made every mistake in the book. Whether when it's sourcing machinery, whether it's hiring, whether it's dealing with customs, dealing with the port and all that stuff. So if you're starting out, network, reach out. I mean, we can sit down for coffee or something, or for dinner, or whatever, and just like chat, get feedback from as many people as possible, tap into other people's experiences. Just because I made a mistake doesn't mean that you need to you have to make the same mistake. In fact, you should not make the same mistake if I've made it. We're all brothers and Liberians. So let's share our stories. Let's network with each other, learn as much as possible from each other, collaborate where possible, so that we can have more successful businesses, and also open doors for other young people that are coming after us.
Mr. Mahmud Johnson, I want to say thank you for honoring my invitation, for being on this platform. Like I said earlier to everybody, this is Celebrating Liberia Excellence. You are a Liberian example of what excellent behavior, excellent entrepreneurship, excellent business is supposed to be. We appreciate you. We say thank you for being here with us. But the time is up, and I'm really sad because I feel like I've known you for 25 years, so we can have a conversation going on. So when you say you're an introvert, I'm like, no, you're not. You're just starting the whole conversation. No, you're not. But
when it comes to J-Palm, I'm not an introvert.
That's what somebody said. They said, man, he's talking about his whole life. He's going to go all the way in. But this was great, man. And I said, thank you for doing what you're doing. Thank you for giving Liberians the opportunity to work, to earn honest income, because I know that's an important thing in these developing countries, earning honest income. Thank you for being there for the Liberian people, because some of us, we didn't have the courage to go back after college, and you did, and you have made a difference. And for that, we say thank you for everything that you've done. And we just appreciate you, bro, and thank you for being on this show.
Thank you so much for having me, and I also want to mention just thank you for starting this, because we do need to have more of these conversations. I would also want to just give props to you and your team, because I mean you've been very organized. You contacted me like was it like 2 or 3 months ago about this, which I found because it never happens. Most people contact you 2 days before, right? You know, but it was very organized. And so you're doing an excellent job. So thank you so much for the work that you do, and for having me on the show.
And I'll see you in December. That part is going to happen because I'm coming to that flagship place to make my own soap, make my own oil.
Make your own soap, make your own oil, and everything else. Yeah.
Yes, man. But you have a good time, man. We'll talk later. Okay, man. Well, people, I told you this was the conversation. I hope you had a great time. That man is amazing. For those who are in Liberia, if you have not checked it out, you need to go and check out J-Palm. You need to check out Kernel Fresh. Their products are amazing. Like he said, they have lotion, they have hair grease. I mean, they have the whole 9 yards. There is a flagship coming up, people. It's going to be net. Y'all need to check it out. But again, I say thank you to Mr. Johnson, who was here. Give us a great evening. I mean, it was amazing. The conversation was great. And you guys, this was The Conversation. Again, Outspoken and Opinionated. We are on Instagram, The Conversation, Outspoken Opinionated. We're on Facebook, The Conversation, Outspoken Opinionated. And then guess what? We are on Spotify, guys. We have moved to another platform where you can go and download us and have a great time. And for those who are just coming on, go back, because the conversation still continues next week with an amazing Liberian author who is a children's author, and she's going to be here with us. So I say, have a good time, and I'll see you later.